beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul, good karma is a must. Still my shooter in the cut. I was stuck inside a rut. Played the game, made bank, moved G. Anything to get a buck. You won't find me in the club. I'm in the lab trying to sharpen up the sword. Swinging blades at these scrubs. Bitches flock like bugs to the light. Getting right. Treat my hoes like these raps. I don't really got a type. Off top, bullshitting. All I needed was a mic. Yeah. Hey, pass the rock, it's all butter. Pack your bags and take flight. Don't worry, it's all covered. Hey, live your life while you can. Our days are all numbered. Rain could cause thunder, but the sun comes after, clearing up the disaster.
Isn't it lovely? I ain't looking back, I'm focused on what's in front of me. Everybody days a number, but I'm still here luckily. I know that God got me, so I'm in good company. Like, yeah.
Take it from me, I got some places I should take you to see. You know it's easy when you ride with a G. Light speed, moving fast through the city, trying to find me some peace. I finally lived to be the guy that I was dying to be. Still I got some trust issues, people lie through their teeth. The more I grew, the more they hide in the crease. Squad building, weak members get released. If we trying to compete, starting pitchers need relief. Bro, we building a team, everybody got a niche. I've been known to play mine to a T, but it's time for me to lead. Picking dirt right out the cleats. Steep path, roadblocks in the streets, trying to knock me off my feet, cause the devil never sleeps. So I don't sleep too, and trying to breach safes that I didn't have the keys to. We all been victims of trauma we ain't agreed to, but the sun comes after, starting up a new chapter.
Isn't it lovely? I ain't looking back, I'm focused on what's in front of me. Everybody days a number, but I'm still here luckily. I know that God got me, so I'm in good company. Like, yeah. Isn't it lovely?
And cut. Thank you very much. Your work over here is done. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Right. Oh, no signal up there. Better open these curtains. There we go. There we go. And you know what? I think we can get rid of the black bars. And let's put the colour back to normal. There we go. Here we are. We made it. So essentially what you've just watched is my travel day, right? My travel day to where I am now. And if I was doing that in a normal style vlog, it would be, you know, walk and talk, camera out in front of me talking to the camera, me talking behind the camera, showing you what's going on. You know the deal. Basically, as if I was on FaceTime to my mate. It's like, yo, look, this is where I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm getting on a plane. I'm getting on a train. I'm driving here, whatever. With a cinematic vlog, it's more about the visuals. And I decided not to talk in the sequence you've just watched. I know, shock, James, not talking. But of course, you can talk. You can talk to the camera, you can do a voiceover, whatever, or you can not talk at all like I did. I just decided to keep it all visuals. But instead of me walking around with the camera out in front of me for most of the vlog, the camera is actually set down around me, filming me what I'm doing or where I am, and then obviously you put that together essentially as one big montage. Okay, now look, there definitely is a small element of acting involved in a video vlog like this, right? Let's take the most classic sequence we've all seen a million times on YouTube. We've probably all done a few times as well. The coffee making sequence. If a camera wasn't rolling, filming everyone doing these coffee making sequences, don't tell me that's how everyone makes a coffee every morning. Very perfect. The pod goes in nice and perfectly. Click. Then you perfectly pour the coffee. Perfectly pour the coffee. Then you perfectly pour the milk. You let it slowly mix up. No, mate, listen. If you're making a coffee just as you're leaving for work, no one's got time for that. But when you're creating a video like this, obviously you're trying to make things more polished, which does then bring that element of acting in it. I think the thing that puts most people off creating a video or vlog like this is the thought of setting up a big, massive camera setup every time they want to get a shot, especially when you're out in public, which is where this bad boy comes in, the Action 6. With the Action 6 being so small, it makes it the perfect camera for a vlog video like this. You can pretty much set it up anywhere. It doesn't hardly attract any attention when you're out in public, which then makes it easier. So that thought of setting up a big setup is literally gone. So there are a few ingredients we need to mix together to make it all come together. First things first, the settings. Now, when it comes to the settings, the thing you need to keep in mind is everything needs to be locked in place once you've pressed record. You don't want things changing throughout the shot. Before you press record, don't be afraid to experiment, even if it goes against what you've heard in other videos. It's all about getting as creative as you can, especially with a video like this. So if you want to turn that off, you want to turn that on, you want to switch that number to that because that's how you want the final product to look, mate, don't be afraid, do it. So use these settings, use my settings to a T if you want, or use them as a guidance. Let's start with the resolution. 4K or 8K. Now, usually with a normal vlog like this, I would say to you, just don't stress about 8K, keep it in 4K. With a cinematic type video vlog like this, the reason I'm going to recommend 8K if you can is because it's going to allow you to get a bit more creative with the shots. Now, with an action camera like the Action 6, all of the shots are wide shots. So to be able to get those kind of semi-medium, semi-close-up shots, you need to shoot in 8K because then you can punch in without losing quality. In the sequence you just watched, there was a couple of shots with the camera attached to my car where you could see the reflection of the camera in the window. I didn't obviously want that, so I was able to punch in to get rid of the reflection. I was only able to do that because I shot those shots in 8K. If I shot those shots in 4K, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it just gives you more flexibility, but make sure your computer can handle 8K footage. I've got the M4 MacBook Pro, and even that struggles about 3-4 minutes into the timeline with 8K footage. So you want to do some tests first. You don't want to go out and shoot, I don't know, an hour worth of footage, get back, and you're like, oh shit, my computer literally is saying no. So do some tests first. Now, when it comes to it, by the way, if you can't shoot in 8K because your computer can't handle it or whatever, don't stress it. Shoot in 4K, that's fine. Like, shoot in 4K, it's not the end of the world. Shoot in 4K. 8K is just going to give you a little bit more flexibility to get a bit more creative by punching in or getting rid of reflections or shadows like I just said. But if you can't, like, it's not the end of the world, just shoot in 4K. With the aspect ratio, I shoot all my stuff in 16:9. I know a lot of people like 4:3. It gives that classic old school look, which also gives that cinematic feel. Shoot in 4:3 if you want. But if you are shooting in 8K, as of time of recording today, you can only shoot in 16:9. Maybe in a firmware update, they'll add 1:1 and 4:3. But yeah, if you're shooting in 8K, you're restricted to 16:9. But yeah, if you want that old school classic look, 4:3. If not, just whack it in 16:9. With the frame rate, 24 is going to give you that classic cinematic feel, cinematic look. If you want to slow things down, 50 or 60. With the stabilization, most of the time, should I say, I'm in rock steady, although I did experiment in this video and turn the stabilization off for a couple of shots. I only think one shot made it to the final edit, which was when I was walking up the stairs. I had a vision in my head that I wanted like a POV shot, but I wanted it to be shaky, not stabilized. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn the stabilization off. That's what I mean. Get creative. Turn things off. Turn things on. Change numbers, whatever it is. But when I'm not trying to get those wobbly shots, I keep it in rock steady. With a field of view, I don't go wider than natural wide. I feel like anything above natural wide is too wide and starts to look action camera-y, whereas natural wide is a good balance of wide, but without any distortion. Let's go over to the pro settings. Make sure you're in pro because you are a pro. And we're going to start with shutter speed. Now, I know there's a rule, the 180-degree rule. Your shutter speed should be double your frame rate. But guess what? Today, I'm going to say, fuck the rules. I do not like shooting in 1/50 on an action camera because it makes things look just a bit jittery, wobbly, bobbly because of the stabilization and all that. Now, look, you might like that look. Like I liked the look by turning the stabilization off. You might not have liked that look, but I liked that look. It's the same with this. I'm telling you I don't like the look of 1/50 on action camera. You might like the look. So do it. If you like the look, do it. But if you haven't done it, do some tests first. Don't just put it in 1/50 because that's what you've heard before with all of these camera settings, because that's usually what people say. Put it in 1/50 if you're in 24, 25. I've said it myself a million times. With an action camera, it's different. It looks different. It's wobbly, bobbly, and jittery. Do your test first. For me, I'm not going slower than 1/100, and I will float between 1/100 and 1/200 based on what I'm doing or how bright it is. One thing I would say, I do put it in 1/50 if the camera is like still. Like if it's static and not moving, then yeah, I will put it in 1/50. If the camera is moving, like there's movement, like it's not in 1/50. 1/100 doesn't give you as much motion blur as 1/50, obviously, but it gives you more motion blur than if you were to leave, in auto and let the camera do it, because it would just whack it up to like 1/3000, 1/5000. The issue when you put it into 1/50 or 1/100 even, and you're outside and it's bright, everything is going to look bright, white and shite, so you are going to need some ND filters, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. The ISO, during the day, I keep it at 100 to 800. And then as it starts to get dark, I move it to 100 to 1600. The reason I don't just keep it in 100 to 1600 during the day is because I find that if I was to go into the car or like under a tree, like it's just slightly shady, the camera just likes to boost the ISO up all the way to 1600, even if that's not how I would do it if I was manually doing it, which is why I switch between 800 and 1600 as the max. I don't go above 1600 because in all the tests I've done, I find that that's when the noise is introduced, which I don't like. As far as I can see it in my head, it's like if the shot is too low at 1600, then the shot has to go. Like I'm not boosting the ISO above that to get the shot. That's the rule I have in my head. Right, anyway, let's go over to the white balance. You need to lock the white balance. If you're not sure what to lock it at, hold the camera up where you're planning on shooting, put it in auto, wait for the camera, wait for the number, should I say, on the left to stop, and then press the M button, and then it will lock that in place. Press the tick and it's locked. But remember, when you move from light to dark or whatever it is, you need to change that, because if you don't, things are going to look a little bit weird. When it comes to the color, if you're planning on color grading, obviously shoot in D-Log M. If you're not, don't stress, whack it in normal. When you have it in normal, you are able to turn quality priority on. I don't know at this stage if that does too much, I'll be honest with you, but yeah, put it on. Obviously, you're not going to keep it off. When you're in D-Log M, you don't have quality priority. And obviously, when you're in normal, you have film tones. In D-Log M, you don't. Film tones are great on the Action 6. They'll definitely give that cinematic feel. So if you don't want to do color grading, this is going to be perfect for you to just whack it in normal and put a film tone on. But if you haven't played around with the film tones, play around with them first, because you don't just want to whack something on because it looks good on the mini screen. You watch it back and you're like, oh shit, that does not look good. Because again, you can change the intensity, which you need to play around with, because certain ones look better at a certain intensity, certain ones look shit at another intensity. When it comes to the aperture, if it's bright and I'm like outside, or it's a bright situation, let's say there's enough light, I'm going to be in fixed f4, and as soon as things obviously start to get darker, I'm going to go to f2.6, because obviously when you're in f4, you're closing the eyeball up, so as it gets darker, you need to open it back up. But remember, when you change those numbers, that the minimum focus distance is changing. Now, with the image adjustments, the texture and noise, I keep the texture at -1 and the noise reduction at 0. You heard that correctly. In pretty much most of, if not all of, kind of settings videos I've done with these DJI cameras, I've put both of them to -2. I've done various tests with it, and I'll be honest with you, one of the things that was an issue at the start when the camera was released was noise. I played around with it at the noise at -2, -1 and 0, and I found that 0 was the sweet spot. So yeah, that's where I keep it. You might disagree because you've done other tests, but like I said, you can either use these settings to a T or as a guidance, but I'm saying with the Action 6, my texture is -1 and my noise reduction is at 0. Right, the next ingredient that we need to mix together to make it all come together is the accessories, and FREEWELL have sent me a bunch of filters to help the Action 6 look more magical. As I was saying with the shutter speed situation, when you set it to 1/50, if that's your thing, or 1/100 when that's your thing, and you're outside and it's sunny, everything is going to look bright, white and shite, so you are going to need some ND filters. These ones are great because there's no screwing involved. You just put them over the lens like whoop, and then take them off. Whoop. So when your hands are cold, yeah, a lot more easier. They sent me a glow mist as well, which I'm going to be honest, I absolutely love this filter. A lot of the shots you saw had this on. I had a vision in my head that I wanted the glow mist on when I was doing the car shots because my car is white, and obviously the glow mist makes the highlights look, you know, glowy and dreamy, and obviously white is a highlight. I was thinking I wanted the glow mist, but you can't stack these filters. That's the issue. So it's either ND or glow mist. But even though it was like 1 p.m, typical English weather, it wasn't bright, even with the shutter speed set like slow, that I needed to put an ND on. So I actually got away with just putting the glow mist on. And then as soon as I got on the boat, the sun came out. And yeah, it was like perfect timing. It's like the gods were watching down saying, we'll let you use the glow mist, then we'll let you use the NDs. These NDs are for the lens. So like I said, you just pop them on or off. But if you're using the macro lens, these ones won't fit, but they do have NDs available for the macro lens and a bunch of other filters as well. I will leave the links all down below, so check them out. The next accessory that you probably definitely will need is a selfie stick tripod to be able to set the Action 6 down if you're doing your coffee sequence, or you're walking into the shot or walking out the shot, whatever it is. I can't show you it right now because I'm using it. And obviously I did some car shots, which meant I needed some kind of mount. So thinking about those shots beforehand, which we're going to come on to in a minute, will determine what accessories you think you might need. And talking of those shots, let's talk about those shots. With a video like this, it's all about getting the shots more polished, a little bit more perfect than they would be, let's say, in a normal vlog. In a normal vlog, if you see the reflection of the camera, the shadow of the camera, it doesn't matter. If you fall over, you know, if the camera drops, it doesn't matter. It all adds that natural funny vibe to it in a normal vlog like that. With a cinematic type video vlog, it is about getting things more polished and being more creative with the shots, which to get creative with the shots, you're gonna need to do different angles of you doing the same thing, which does mean you are gonna need to do things more than once. For example, let's say you were filming yourself in a normal vlog situation, camera out in front of you, and you're walking inside a shop. You would walk inside the shop, you would do your thing, and you would walk back out. Cool. With a cinematic type video vlog, you would set the camera down over here, and then you would have a shot of you walking inside the shop. You would then go and get the camera. You would then go and set it up inside the door of the shop. You would then walk out. You would then walk back in the shop. Because you're trying to get several different angles of you walking inside the shop, which is obviously you doing the same thing. Because when you stitch it together, it's like a continuation. Which means you're doing that thing more than once, which is not what you do in a normal vlog. So you're going to need to be prepared for that, and be prepared that this type of setup situation does take longer to shoot. The thing you need to think about or say to yourself when you're out or in shooting a video like this is, how would this look if I was being filmed for a film? Because essentially that is what we're trying to do, make it all filmy and, you know, cinematic-y. So instead of your normal traditional vlog where you're walking with your camera like this, chit-chatting to the camera in front or behind, it's like, right, like I just said, I'm walking into the shop. How would this look if it was in a movie? You would have a shot from behind of you walking in the shop, then you would have a shot of you in the shop, walking into the shop, walking down the aisle, picking up whatever. Like, how would this look if it was an actual movie? That's what you have to keep saying to yourself in your head when you're out or in shooting. And once you keep saying that to yourself, it's like when you're out there or in there, let's say you're in the shop, stand there in that moment and say, how can I capture this moment in the most creative way. Let's say you're walking down the aisle. Instead of just putting the Action 6 on the middle shelf and you walking down the aisle, look around you and say, how high can I safely mount Mr. Action 6 to get this creative shot? So instead of the middle shelf, you put it on the top shelf looking down on you, which is more interesting than it being on the middle shelf. Literally stand there in the moment and say, where can I mount Mr. Action 6? There's 2 more ingredients to bring this whole thing together, and they are the music and the plan. And trust me when I say this, finding the music piece before you even start the actual plan is going to help you so much. You find the music piece, you find the music piece, not the piece, the piece, and you sit there and you listen to it 10 times plus, and it generates visions. It generates ideas, which then form part of the video, versus you sitting in silence trying to create this plan. No, sit there and listen to the music, because trust me, it's a tool that literally generates ideas in your head as you're listening to it. And when we think of cinematic, the first music piece people think of is the dramatic violin, piano music. Don't be restricted to that type of music. That music is great. I've used it many times and will probably use it in the future going forward. But you don't have to use that genre. You can use quirky dance, jazz, whatever it is, whatever vibe you're trying to create. Don't restrict yourself just to that. And then with the plan, do you want things planned shot for shot? Shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, shot 4. I personally don't. It doesn't work for me. It might work for you doing that. But you definitely need a rough vision, idea, plan of how the whole thing's going to look. And then I pull out key shots. So for example, in the sequence you watched, the camera in the letterbox, transition to the car. When I'm here, there's 2 or 3 of me. Those key shots I needed to plan. Everything else, I had a vision of what I wanted, and I just dealt with it when I was there. And I looked around and said, right, where am I putting the camera? When I was on the boat, I know I wanted some shots of me looking out into the water, but it was too windy for the tripod. So I stood there and I said, where can I mount Mr. Action 6? And I just dealt with it in the moment. But definitely have some kind of plan, because the plan is going to be your best friend. And there is no such thing as too many shots, right? If you want to get a shot, get a shot. The worst thing that you can do is get back and regret not getting a shot. So it's always better to have too much footage to play with than too little footage to play with. So once you mix all of those ingredients together, including a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, you will have your masterpiece. How creative can you get? Over to you. Lights, camera, action.
Isn't it lovely? I ain't looking back, I'm focused on what's in front of me. Everybody days a number, but I'm still here luckily. I know that God got me, so I'm in good company. Like, yeah.